Take a nice full breath in. Big breath in through your nose. Let it out through your mouth with a Good. And then again, into your belly. Big breath. And then dropping into that breath softly, gently, breathing in and out through your nose. Now become aware of where that breath is going. It's going down into your body, into your lungs, and back out. So as that softly happens, say hello to your heart on the way. Yeah, there it is. And every time you inhale, your lungs expand and you give your heart a hug. So make your inhales beautifully full so that your heart can feel the love back from you that it gives to you every time it beats. And as your awareness moves deeper, you can feel that edge of softness as you slip out of thoughts and mind and into that place of receptivity and allowing and purposefully being exactly right where you are and ready to receive the beautiful, honoring, and empowering messages of Adironda and Kryon.
So it is good day to you, huh? Very good to see your light, your energy, your brightness, your divine presence. For those of you whom we have not met, we are Adironda. And we bring with us an entire council of beings of light that are here on your behalf. We give thanks to the divine Dr. Ember for her words of wisdom, opening up your heart. You know, you can never have your heart too far open, huh? It is always expansion, because you are the magnificence that we wish to see in this world. You are that acknowledgement. And so that open heart that you are walking around the world in with, got to get that English right. English is our second language, you know. Glick is our first one. So with that open heart, you are that spark. Well, you are actually the whole bonfire of creativity in this world. And you know, we've been telling people for year and year and year, many years, as we know our dear friend Kryon is as well, that anything that is not in integrity is going to start imploding upon itself. It's going to start raising up to the surface so it can be indeed dealt with. As you have just seen on the slides that Lee, our dearest friend Lee, is using. So in that energy of integrity, anything that is not in integrity is going to implode or going to raise to the surface to be recognized and dealt with. What does that mean, huh? So is your checking account in integrity, huh? Is your household that you need to fix this or fix that in integrity? So we don't think of it in those terms. It was mentioned this morning that our dear vessel Marilyn teaches intention, and the joy teaches intention. It is your intention to stay in integrity, yes? Of course it is. Yet we are not sure that each one of us are recognizing when things are not quite in integrity. So we're going to give you an example or two. Is that okay? Good. Because we would talk about it anyway. But you see, dearest beings of light, when you are saying to yourself, I have plenty of money, I can pay all of my bills, and I can do this, and I can go here, and I can do this, and I can spend this, and I can have this, and inside you're saying, I don't know if that's going to happen. I don't know if I have enough money to pay the electric bill and do this. That throws your soul out of integrity. Just the thought. You see, in the olden days, it wasn't that magnified before 2012. That is the olden days now, you know. Now, the very thought is made manifest. So your very thoughts are creating your world. That is why Arveso Marilyn wears these bracelets, because when she has a negative thought or a positive thought, when she has a negative thought, she shifts the bracelet to the other arm. You see? Not that you would have any negative thoughts here, huh? No, not at all. But you see, others might. So you might get the opportunity to help yourself keep your energy flowing as positively as possible. And to know that when things come into your field that don't feel quite positive, it is not because we are asking you to walk away, turn a dark hand, and not acknowledge that. What we are asking you is to be the solution. We are asking you to take a deep breath. Now. Yes. And as you take that deep breath and you see that energy that is swirling around that does not feel very good for you, you breathe and say, how am I the solution? How am I the key, the spark, the bonfire of positivity and intentional shift, intentional change? That is the key, yes? Arveso Marilyn drew a card from the affirmations oracle from that Lee has online. That's got the little phone thing. We didn't bring it up with us because then she wanted to see another one and the card was gone. But you understand that the card said, I am a divine blessing, loved and supported, always on this planet. So if you are thinking to yourself, I've got all this, and I'm doing this, and I've got the money to do that, and I don't have the money to do that, you are right either direction. We'll tell you a little story about our vessel, Marilyn. She does not know we're going to tell this. It's a secret. You do not know how true that is. You see, in the 90s especially, you remember the 90s, yes? Some of you may not, you're too young. But in the 90s, she was selling advertising for a country western radio station. And she would get a big bonus of $6,000 because she loved helping people build their businesses, and that was exciting for her. And she would get a big bonus of $6,000. And then her furnace would break down, and it would cost $6,220 to fix it. And then she would sell something else, and she would get another big bonus of $12,000, and she would run out and celebrate and spend all the money and buy drinks and things for everyone and buy food for everyone and go shopping and buy herself a ring. And then the next day her car would throw a rod, and it would cost $12,220 to fix it. You understand the point, huh? So she was very good at that intentional creating, even though she did not even know what that was at that moment. But underneath, she had a a subtle message running inside of her that said, I'm not worthy of having, $6,000, $2,000, or $220 extra. So she would always create, because everything you are creating, she would always create that old catastrophe that would shift everything and take whatever bonus or whatever that was coming her way and invest it into the electric company or the furnace company or the car company. You understand what we say? How did she fix it? It took many years. Let us explain that to you. It did not happen overnight at first because she didn't believe that it was that simple. She didn't believe. She thought she would go to a psychic reader and they would say, well, you've got to stand outside at sunset and you've got to raise your arm into the air and you've got to light the candle, blow it out with the idea of, that is the olden days. Now, intention is the key. Now she says, I wish to move into a new home. And within 2 weeks, she was given a new home to move into. Then she went into fear and said, but I got to do the taxes, I got to do this, I got to do that. How am I going to do that? I have 2 days to pack. And then she stopped. Yay. Celebrate that, Everyone is trainable, She stopped and said, I just feel what it feels like to sign the papers on the house. And she started feeling that. And she did not go out and burn anything at sunrise or sunset or stand on one foot or blow the smoke out or anything else. She just felt it in her heart because that is where the spark begins. Intention comes from your heart. That is why we are thankful for the divine Dr. Amber to open your heart. So what is your intention right now? Right now, right this moment. Take a deep breath. Touch your heart to draw that spark there. Feel what it would feel like for it to be already done. Everything is possible. You are the most magnificent creative life force in this galaxy, maybe other galaxies. Of course, Source, God, wishes you to have everything, your heart's desire. That is where that term came from, Your heart's desire. And you feel that little spark. It is possible, yes? All you have to do is feel it, intend it, and let it go, and let the universe just say yes. Dearest beings of light, we love you so much. Even when we meet you in the elevator. We met somebody in the elevator this morning, and they turned to the vessel Marilyn and said, "You look familiar." Oh, maybe. You see, every moment is a divine intervention. Every moment. You never know when the universe is saying yes to you, yes to you, yes to you, yes to you. So we want to tell you when they are saying yes to you. Always yes to you, always yes to you, always yes to you, always yes to you. They never say no. They always say yes. As we say yes to you too. We love you deeply. We see you. We honor you. We know you volunteered to come here at this time, and sometimes you're thinking about renegotiating that. But you are here now, and we are grateful. Namaste.
Greetings, dear ones. I'm Kryon of Magnetic Service. For those who would just tune in to this message, we are in Austin. And I want to give a message that starts a series. We're going to call it Frustrations of the Lightworker in the New Energy. I start with the premise. For 30 years, I have been channeling through my partner, leading up to the shift, being part of it, and now beyond. If you take a look at the channels and the messages, they have shifted with the times. At first, telling you to get ready for a new human. In 1993, I said in a book that my partner published reluctantly that there would be no Armageddon. That you're headed instead for something that you never expected, a potential, a possibility. The metaphor would be that which is an improved consciousness of the planet through evolvement of things that had never evolved before. The consciousness would carry an evolved transparency of thought, and there would be integrity and honesty in many of the things you thought would never happen. And you'd start to see them in mass. You'd start to see them in government. Finally, you'd start to see them in corporate. These were the messages back then to get ready for something different. At the crux of 2012, there was celebration, and the channels started to shift. The marker of 2012 had been passed as we had expected because it was in the field. Dear ones, the field contains the energy of potential. If consciousness is energy, and there are many making plans and thinking of certain things in certain ways, it's in the field. These are the things that intuition can begin to pick up. The field is where remote viewing occurs. That which is a potential based on what people are planning, negative and positive. Many times there are those who will go into that field, and the only things they will see are negative things, because that's the bias they carry into it from living in an old energy. They expect things to be negative, therefore they'll find the negative potentials, and then they'll never occur. And when you find prophecy from those that never occurs, or doesn't occur over and over when they say it's going to occur, you know what's going on, don't you? And we spoke of that. We told you of a consciousness that would start to change among old souls. And it would start to radically change for those who would accept that that was possible, that they could change their lives and their reality. That what they could imagine would create energy, work with the potentials in the field, and they could start manifesting things like the healing they wanted for their bodies, with longer life that they wanted. Because these are the things that were appropriate for them. But they had never understood they were in control before. And now they do. The premise is that there's also help, and we told you last time we sat in front of a group that the eye-rolling part is that there's more light on this planet, and it's coming from the nodes and the nulls, the time capsules that we're supposed to open and have at the right time. If you want more about that, it's very common that we have channeled and given information even last week. So not only is there a natural evolution of consciousness, there's also light being given and sent. And when you send light, even in a metaphor, you have the option to keep your eyes closed. This is free will. So light may be there and things may be observable, but not unless you wish to open your eyes to observe them. But it's there. And the ones who would want to open their eyes are the old souls who understand the potential and realize that consciousness is energy and it's starting to shift and change. You see it even in leadership around the planet, those who perhaps were warlike and now they've changed their mind. There are so many things you did not expect that are taking place that it really shouts that there are differences occurring. Light is being put in places that will allow you to see some things that now you're going to do something about. All of this is the premise for the series of channels that start to address the frustrations of many who listen to this, who are serious about that which is their old soul in them. Frustrations. Why would an old soul, with the light being turned on, be frustrated at all? So the first one is personal. It's your relationship with others. You lie in bed and you say to Spirit, why all of a sudden are the people around me so difficult? I hear laughter. Am I hitting home? You already know the answer, but it's not one that solves anything. The answer is a fact. It's an observation, and the solution we've given you as well. But why? Why would people around you, especially family, be so difficult all of a sudden? Years ago, I started telling you about the new attributes of karma. First publication, I actually said, drop your karma. You don't need it anymore. It's an old energy function needed for self-correction, for action, for souls to work with one another in a way that made sense. And then in a new energy that's coming, you're not going to need it because you will be in control. We gave the example of being in the ocean, and karma was the waves that would swat you and cause you to go certain directions and do certain things and meet certain people. And then in a new energy, you wouldn't need that because you now had a rudder and you could steer yourself into the safe harbors and not be then subject to the ones of the waves that would hit you. So it was an enablement. We said, drop your karma. Well, that's to the old soul. Let me tell you what happens when an old soul understands dropping of karma, and yet the family around them does not. Maybe you chose to come in and learn lessons from your mother, from your father, from your siblings. And perhaps that had to do with perhaps disagreements or certain kinds of energies that you shared or didn't share. And you grew up with it. But let's say that in this new energy, you've dropped that which is your portion of the karma. And then you go to meet with a family member who still has it. And that family member wants to push all of the buttons that always were available on you. Pushing this one, you got angry. Pushing this one, you got jealous. Pushing this one, you'd leave the room. I'm talking to somebody in here. And then suddenly, if you drop your karma, dear old soul, the buttons are gone. Now you go home to your family, and by the way, you will soon. It's called Christmas. And out come the fingers to press the buttons, and nothing happens. Do you know what the reaction is of someone who has karma with you and you've dropped yours with them? They get angry. You are not responding like you ever did before. In fact, you're sitting there and smiling. That will infuriate people. You're just a little too nice. A little perhaps too benevolent, perhaps a little too understanding all of a sudden. First question, are you on a drug? And you might say yes. It's called magnificence. I'm starting to awaken to something I never had before. I am peaceful with myself. And you can push all those buttons you want to, but you'll find the buttons are gone. And you can look right at them and say, I love you too much to have those buttons there anymore. And they may respond and they may not. And these are the issues of today. The difficulty with others has to do with the fact that they have not moved off the old energy peg, and you have. It doesn't make you right or wrong, dear ones. It's simply a fact. You have moved energy. In school, you move from grade to grade. It's not a bias when you study hard and move to the next grade. In the evolvement of the human race, it's not a judgment that you learn from lifetime to lifetime and you hit the new energy and you start to evolve, and perhaps those around you haven't yet seen or don't want to or had free choice to stay where they are. In some cases, you can't stay at all because you realize that those around you are very angry all the time. Sometimes you'll go and spend time with family and realize for the first time all they do is complain. And that's what it is around the table. Here's what's wrong today. I wish they'd fix this. Isn't this awful? How do you feel about it? And you say, I'm just fine, thank you. And they'll say, what's wrong with you? And you'll say, I've discovered the magnificence around me. And you're included in that if you want to be. But I've also discovered that complaining does not help anything. It sets an energy around me. It darkens the room. It's not benevolent. Things are there, but complaining about them, it doesn't help at all. What would help is benevolence around them. Perhaps we can shine a light so much that those things will be catchy into others that you complain about, and they'll start changing. And they'll stare at you. And they'll say, you've been to a Kryon meeting, haven't you? And you'll say, yes. Some of them understand love. And they'll understand you when you say, I'm finished complaining. I don't judge you. Complain all you want, but it's not for me anymore. And then you're not part of the party. And you're not accepted as well because you won't follow along. Then you're excused early. And you're out of the family. Why are people so difficult? What is wrong? The answer, dear ones, I just gave you, and the solution, don't try to change them, please. This is not an evangelistic thrust you're in, dear ones. It's a benevolent action of compassion. You show them who you've become and let them decide if it's attractive or not. Do not make them wrong. Do not point your finger. Do not tell them you wish they were different if they and can't they see light? That'd be the wrong thing to do. Instead, be light. Pretty soon, some of them will see that there has been a change, and it's a good one, and they like it. Some of them will call you back and say, tell me more. Let's go to lunch together. And some of them won't. But the bottom line is you sit in a group of old souls right now that are your new family, who don't have the karma anymore and never did with you. And they won't push your buttons like the family. It's about changing the paradigm of what family has become. And knowing that you're safe here. And that you're with others who are concerned about the planet in a way that doesn't complain, but moves light around and understands the whole premise and paradox of reality for the earth may be changing. A more benevolent earth, not a complaining one, not an angry one. It's going to disturb the cultures on the planet who regularly shout at each other. And there are many. And that comes from survival. And there are many. But it has to start somewhere. Let it be here. Let it be in Austin. Let it be with your family at Christmas. Frustrations? Oh, there are many. When I come back with you a little later today, I'll talk about the frustrations of energy, because those are changing. So, dear light worker, you wonder why we call it worker? Now you know. You don't float through this, old soul. You don't float through this. You work through it with help that's always been there. And that help will take your hand and lead you through it. I am Kryon in love with humanity. And so it is.